Owen Hargreaves stated that Mikel Arteta would love to bring a star valued at £128 million to Arsenal. Meanwhile, Martin Keown claims that Arsenal's excellent target could be Mikel Arteta's response to Erling Haaland. And Arsenal fans are saying the same thing about Mikel Arteta after the draw with Atalanta. He made a big mistake. Stay with me until the end of the video to check out the latest Arsenal news straight from the Emirates Stadium. But before that, if you're as passionate about Arsenal as we are, don't waste any time and subscribe to our channel right now to stay updated on everything happening with the greatest team in the Premier League. And without further ado, let's dive into today's top news. Arsenal fought hard for a 0-0 draw in their Champions League opener against Atalanta, but it was pretty obvious they were missing Martin Odegaard's spark in the middle of the park. Without his creativity, the team struggled to break through. Odegaard is expected to be out for a while, which is a huge setback for Mikel Arteta. To cope with this, Arteta tried shifting things around by pushing Kai Havertz back into the midfield and having Gabriel Jesus lead the line as a striker. Unfortunately, things didn't quite click. Jesus had a frustrating evening, and Havertz didn't really show his best form. Without Odegaard, Arsenal seemed to lack both creativity and that cool, calm touch that he usually brings to the team. Looking ahead, Arteta might be tempted to go big in the transfer market for a star midfielder who could not only fill the gap, but also partner up with Odegaard when he's back. One potential target, a player with title-winning experience, seems like the ideal addition to solve their midfield problems. Owen Hargreaves claims Mikel Arteta would love Florian Wirtz at Arsenal. While Arsenal struggled to find the back of the net in their Champions League opener, Bayer Leverkusen had no such issues, smashing 4 goals past Feyenoord on the road. Florian Wirtz, the young German midfielder, stole the show with 2 goals in his first ever Champions League match. This comes after an impressive season where he helped Leverkusen claim the Bundesliga title alongside former Arsenal player Granit Xhaka. Wirtz typically plays as an advanced number 10, but there's a strong chance that as his career progresses, he could transition into a deeper role where he can control the tempo and dictate play. In an interview with TNT Sports, former Bayern Munich midfielder Owen Hargreaves suggested that big clubs like Arsenal, Real Madrid, and Manchester City could all have their eyes on Wirtz. If you think about Toni Kroos leaving Real Madrid, I think he could go there. He could learn that role, Hargreaves stated. Toni started as a 10, then gradually worked back. I think Florian Wirtz could eventually be a controller of the game. I can see him at Man City or Real Madrid. I'm sure Mikel Arteta would love him at Arsenal too. He's that good. He makes every team better. He is a 10, but I just think he's so smart that he can play anywhere. Is Florian Wirtz out of reach for Arsenal? Florian Wirtz could end up being one of the hottest names in the transfer market next summer, and with Real Madrid and Manchester City reportedly interested, it won't be easy for Arsenal to secure his signature. Leverkusen is said to be asking for a hefty £128 million for the 21-year-old, which is a steep price that would probably need to come down for Arsenal to realistically have a shot at landing him. That said, Arsenal could still be an attractive destination for Wirtz. In the long run, he'd be an excellent fit alongside Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice, while also offering the flexibility to play in a more advanced role when needed. If Mikel Arteta decides he's interested, Wirtz might be open to the idea of joining the Gunners, especially since they're competing for top honors in both domestic and European competitions. Arsenal were linked with plenty of strikers during the summer transfer window, but ultimately decided not to bring in a new center forward. Mikel Arteta put his trust in Kai Havertz, who has been in great form, and Gabriel Jesus. Despite his injury struggles last season, he also added Raheem Sterling to bolster the attack. Havertz has been outstanding as a central striker, but with Martin Odegaard now sidelined, the German was forced to drop back into midfield, leaving Arsenal without that extra firepower in their 0-0 Champions League draw against Atalanta. One of Arsenal's summer targets was Sporting CP's Victor Gyökeres, a 25-year-old forward. However, Arteta chose not to push for a deal. In contrast to Arsenal's struggles, Gyökeres scored in his Champions League opener and has carried over his brilliant form from last season, sparking the debate over whether Arsenal should still consider going after him in the future. Speaking on TNT Sports ahead of Arsenal's draw with Atalanta, Manchester United legend Rio Ferdinand heaped praise on Gyökeres. I don't know how he was allowed out of England. He scored 52 goals in 57 games since he signed for Sporting from Coventry. He stated, "He was top goal scorer last season in that league, top goal scorer again this season, and he's a beast of a human as well, but he's just developed into a really outstanding player. I'm really interested to see how he develops now in the next coming year or two." Arsenal invincible Martin Keown then spoke of the links between Gyökeres and Arsenal and claimed that he could be Arteta's answer to Erling Haaland. Well, there was talk, wasn't there, in the summer, but you know they didn't go after him, but he looks lively, there's no doubt about that. Keown stated, when you're playing in the Champions League, there's always players that he's turned and spun on that one and just put it in the back of the net. Who did that remind you of? A bit of a Haaland about him. Victor Gyökeres could be Arsenal's answer to Erling Haaland. Arsenal are aiming to challenge Manchester City for the Premier League title, but with Erling Haaland's insane form, it's an uphill battle. Haaland has already netted an unbelievable 9 goals in just 4 league games this season. Having a striker as deadly as him is a total game changer in any title race. While Kai Havertz has been impressive as a striker, he doesn't have that killer instinct to score out of nothing like Haaland does. That's where someone like Victor Gyökeres could come in. Gyökeres' goal against Lille in the Champions League showed exactly what Arsenal might need. Surrounded by defenders, he managed to spin and fire the ball into the bottom corner with ease. Having that kind of clinical finisher up front could be the difference for Arsenal if they want to seriously compete for the title. Arsenal fans all say same thing about Mikel Arteta after Atalanta draw. He's made a big mistake. Arsenal walked away with just a point after a goalless draw against Atalanta in Bergamo. It was always going to be a challenging match against Gianpiero Gasperini's squad. Last season, teams like Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen were completely outplayed by the 66-year-old Italian coach. Mikel Arteta came in with a solid game plan, and defensively, it paid off. Aside from a stunning penalty save by David Raya, Atalanta struggled to create any real threats against Arsenal. That's definitely a positive takeaway, but the glaring issue everyone noticed was how much Arsenal missed Martin Odegaard. The North London side lacked any creativity in their attack, and it felt like they could have played another 90 minutes without finding the back of the net. Many Arsenal fans believe that one of Arteta's summer transfer decisions played a significant role in their struggles during this Champions League opener. Arsenal fans slam Mikel Arteta's summer transfer decision after Atalanta draw. Arsenal made the bold decision of selling Emile Smith-Rowe and loaning out Fabio Vieira in the summer. That left them with no experienced alternative for Odegaard. After watching the draw against Atalanta, Arsenal fans think Arteta doesn't trust Ethan Nwaneri either. The teenager was an unused substitute. Gooners are now having a go at Arteta's decision to sell Smith-Rowe and not replace him in the summer transfer window. Many feel that's the reason why they couldn't beat Atalanta. One Arsenal fan tweeted, "Not having Odegaard and selling Smith-Rowe might haunt us on the long run. Arteta, you do this one." Martinelli and Jesus are 2 players that should not be in Arsenal's first team. Instances like this are the reason why I'll always opine that Arteta's lack of big trophies is his own doing. Who sends ESR and Vieira out in one window? Who does that? Said another Arsenal supporter. Mikel Arteta should start Arsenal's new Emile Smith-Rowe. Odegaard's injury is a huge blow for Arsenal. Most of the good stuff the Gunners do in attack flows through him, and without him, they've looked a bit lost in the final third over the last couple of games. Kai Havertz can step into midfield, but he doesn't have the same creative spark as Odegaard. Meanwhile, Leandro Trossard can create chances, but he's better suited for a more advanced role. Emile Smith-Rowe would have been a fantastic option right now, but he's off at Fulham, where he's already making a name for himself. Arteta really needs to find a way to get the team back on track, and we think he should give Arsenal's new Smith-Rowe, Ethan Nwaneri, a shot. The teenager is the closest thing the team has to Odegaard in terms of creativity. Sure, his age and lack of experience are concerns, but he might just be Arteta's best chance to spark some creativity in the final third. It'll be interesting to see if Nwaneri gets a chance to shine against Manchester City on Sunday. Well folks, those were the main news for today. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated on everything happening with our beloved team, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for joining us, and until the next video.